shoot this bit, Margaret. You've got to shoot it.
So, hi and welcome to this new episode of the Whiteout Podcast. I'm Dom, publisher at In the Snow, and I'm here with my co-host. What do I say this week? Rob, presenter, gear editor, Basie qualified instructor, drummer, guitarist, and so the list goes on. It's Rob Stewart.
Yeah, and skier, but not skiing this week now, and I'm getting withdrawal symptoms already. But actually, my body is actually saying I need a bit of a rest. To be fair, that's tough life, a tough problem to have, right?
Probably the first week you haven't skied this year. This season.
Well, so yeah, I know, and very, very lucky to have done that. But everybody else is skiing this week, right? It's half term.
Yeah,
so
half term.
It's great.
Half term's going. Europe's looking pretty good, blanketed in the white stuff. Sun's shining. What more could British skiers ask for, eh? I mean, they're having a good time. And you were out last week, weren't you? Weren't you out somewhere last week?
I was at the City Ski Championships in Crans-Montana, and nice. It was a lot of fun as always. A revival music event happened as well over like a live music event at the same time. So it was party, ski racing, Crans-Montana in the sun. Had a crack at the GS race. Didn't do brilliantly well this year. Got absolutely thrashed by our friend and colleague Emily Sarsfeld, which, I mean, it normally happens anyway, obviously, but I think particularly thrashed this year. It was good fun. It was good fun.
That sounds like good news. And what have we got on our agenda this week? We've got news from around the skiing world. We've got our popular snow roundup of where's good to ski right now, and our regular gear review guide.
Well, we're going to be looking at ski resorts beginning with the letter F this week, Dom. So yeah, I'm going to focus on Fieberbrunn. What about you?
I am doing Flaine in the Grand Massif.
Oh, very nice. Yeah, well, I think they're both good resorts, very, very different from each other, aren't they? Flaine and Fieberbrunn.
Yeah, two different resorts again, but let's see how they come out.
And I think you're going to talk about one of your recent trips, Dom, as well. You've just been away.
Yeah, I'll tell you a little bit about my trip to Banff in Alberta, which I did earlier in January, which was a lot of fun. So it's a great time to give a shout out to our two charity partners, Rob. Firstly, we're proud to support Snow Camp, the game-changing national youth charity who turn young lives around with the power of snow sports. They do amazing work by harnessing the power of skiing and snowboarding to develop life skills, qualifications, and positive opportunities for over 1,000 hard-to-reach young people year on year. Do go ahead and visit our charity partner today, snowcamp.org.uk.
Yeah, Dom, absolutely fantastic charity, Snow Camp. But I'd also like to give a big shout out to the Ellie Suter Foundation, who have just announced another athlete, 12-year-old alpine skier Xavier Poynton, as a new grant-funded skier on their programme. This now means they're looking after 4 of the UK's top up-and-coming prospective Olympians, which is unreal for this fairly new charity. And go and check them out, the Ellie Suter Foundation.
Fantastic, Rob. Thanks very much.
So first up, Dom, it's your snow report. Tell us what conditions are like at the moment across the world.
Yeah, well, it's half-term skiing, and I'm looking out the window in sunny Blighty here, and it's nice and sunny and clear skies. And there's definitely plenty of that across Europe as well. It has settled down. There hasn't been as much snow recently. It's bright and sunny. Good cold temperatures to maintain snow conditions, especially on piste. Arguably, Austria has probably got the best snow conditions right now, thanks to having had a really decent big top up over the last couple of weeks across a bunch of the Austrian Alps, up to a metre in some places, which is an absolute treat. The lower resorts of the Tirol and Salzburg land will potentially have a few sort of harder packed icier patches in the sort of higher resort traffic areas, but nothing that would put anybody off. Overall this week, we'll be looking at sunshine, blue skies, and some potentially rising temperatures throughout the week in Austria. In France, it's not snowed so much in France for a while now, bar the odd dusting in a couple of places, but conditions still remain fairly good on piste. We know what these resorts are like. They're very, very good at keeping conditions good. You may tend to find, again, in some of the higher traffic areas and the busy areas that it gets a little icy. but it may generally be hard packed in places, but probably nothing for people like us to moan about. Us Brits are a sturdy, committed lot of skiers, and it takes a lot for us to be moaning. Half term in France, without a doubt, will continue to be sunny, blue skies, cold starts, and generally temperatures slightly increasing throughout the day and throughout the week. I don't think we'll see that causing any sort of freeze thaw conditions, but you may find that it'll help soften the hard pack piece in some of those slightly icier places. In Italy, also good, even if they haven't had any significant snowfall for a while. The likes of Sestria and the Milky Way saw a little dusting of snow recently, which has given them a little top up. Some nice conditions on piste there right now. And generally across the Dolomites, you're going to get some good on piste skiing, a little hard in places, but again, nothing to moan about. Where else would you love to be than enjoying pasta and a nice coffee on the piste in Italy?
Oh, yeah.
And Switzerland, possibly some of the best conditions are in the northeast, where some snow fell earlier this week in Cloisters, also looking good, as they did well from the snowstorm, meaning piste conditions are very good there, and pockets of powder still to be found in the off-beaten tracks of Verbier and Zermatt. They haven't had any significant snowfall for some time, but some of the photos and video I've seen is still looking pretty nice. Similar to the rest of the Alps, blue skies and sunshine, plenty of it there. I think people will be having a good half term in Switzerland. And for the rest of Europe, although the Pyrenees had some fresh snow earlier last week, on-piste conditions will remain fairly firm in the likes of Andorra, and Baccarat in Spain probably has the best conditions down there right now. In Norway, Hemsedal saw a dusting of snow last week, or in Sweden, finding pretty hard packed piste there. Still cold conditions. Things are fine. I think they all want a bit more snow, but it is to be expected at the moment. Scotland's had a tricky time ever since their good start to the season. They've got fluctuating temperatures, taking their toll with mixed conditions. The weather forecast over the coming days is a little on the warmer side. Glencoe has the best cover with a metre in some of the higher gullies. However, I would say if you're planning a trip up to Scotland, to keep a tight eye on that weather forecast. And then across the pond in the USA, Utah and California continue to have superb conditions with regular snowfall. Mammoth is the standout resort in terms of snow depths, having picked up 30 to 40 centimetres earlier last week. Now the snowpack is some massive 6.5 meters, so that's incredible. Less crazy in Colorado, but they still have some fantastic skiing on offer there, with fresh snow in Winter Park and some of the great other Colorado resorts where I'll be heading later next month. In Canada, snow conditions have improved. So Lake Louise had 25 centimetres in the last 4 days, which has helped there. They were moaning about not having enough snow, albeit when I was there, I thought conditions were great. There wasn't bundles of off-piste, but on-piste, great conditions. It wasn't mind-blowing like I've seen there before. Locals were moaning, but obviously another 25 centimetres in the last few days will have really helped. Whistler also getting some extra snow after the last couple of days, which is good news for them. So overall, still the USA and Canada are getting the lion's share of it, but I think you'll find a lot of people skiing over half term are going to be having a damn good week of blue skies, sunshine, and generally pretty good skiing if you're happy racing around the piste. And that is our snow roundup for this week.
That's all, folks.
I mean, that sounds pretty positive, Dom. And I think, I don't know about you, but I think every time we get round to this February half-term week or weeks, the weather seems pretty stable, doesn't it? And it's normally sunny. It's normally sunny, and the piste conditions are decent. There may not be a load of powder around, but actually what people want at half-term is, let's face it, they want some sunshine.
Absolutely.
And there's a bit of a pattern there. And I just wonder whether it's going to start snowing heavily again as we come out the back end of February into March, which we often see, don't we?
Yeah, could easily happen. Absolutely. So there you go. Plenty happening. Sunny outside my window right now. What have you got in terms of news for us this week, Rob? Yeah,
there's a little bit of news around. I spotted something quite interesting. Again, it is related to some of those lower ski areas. There's a German ski area, Bavaria. They've built an all-weather slope on their kids' nursery area. So basically, they're saying to their customers, you know what, don't worry about snow. We get a lot of natural snow here, but if there isn't snow at the time, there's an artificial slope on the children's area, and they will still be able to ski. It's quite a wide area. So that's the resort of Oberdorf and in Germany. So that was an interesting one. And then over in Switzerland, in Le Diablerets, Glacier 3000 has launched a new black run, brand new run. And it looks really interesting. It's 1,000 vertical meters of black run. And it starts up at the Cabane de Diableret, the Col de Pilon. You go through a 265-meter long tunnel through the rock face.
Mega.
I know. Come out the other side, and then there's a 3-kilometer descent. It's going to be one of the world's steepest marked ski runs, reaching a 41-degree gradient at the steepest part.
Nice.
So obviously it's only suitable for good skiers, very good skiers and snowboarders. Clearly, what do you reckon, Dom? Should we give it a crack?
Absolutely. I love it. I love the 265-meter long tunnel. I think it sounds brilliant. Definitely a bit
exciting.
Yeah,
exciting, isn't it?
Yeah.
And the other thing I spotted is Aosta Valley are launching a project in Pila. It's called the Pila Kui, I think that's how you pronounce it. Okay. Gondola lift, a new ski lift project to enhance access to the mountain. Pretty radical actually. It's for both skiers and non-skiers. So it's going to be an all-year-round cable car. It's going to improve access to one of the most iconic panoramic points of the Aosta Valley, Cima Kui. It's at 2,730 meters. You know, you can see all the peaks around there like Mont Blanc, Matterhorn, Gran Paradiso from the top. So in the winter for skiing, in the summer for hikers and mountain bikers. And they're building a very interesting looking sort of avant-garde gondola station at the top. It looks really cool. It's going to be a 10-seater gondola lift. So this is a major product for the Aosta Valley. It's been announced now. I'm trying to find details of when that's due to be open, but you can check the project out on aosta-valley.co.uk.
I love that place. Love the Aosta Valley. Anybody who's not been there, get down there. There's some fabulous resorts down there. So that's going to be a great little project there. Really nice.
Yeah. So that's a good project. And I think it will, I mean, you know, we know Pila and it's a great ski area, but that will actually revolutionize the way you can get to the top of that mountain. Because at the moment you need to take 3 lifts to get there. Yeah. And it takes about, I don't know, 45 minutes or something. So it's a massive difference. Yeah. Of course, the Alpine Skiing World Championships are taking place in Maribel and Courchevel at the moment. Very, very good weather, as we've discussed, and decent snow conditions for alpine ski racing. They've got off to a good start there. We're halfway through as we record this, but a few surprises already, including Switzerland's Jasmine Fleury winning the gold in the downhill, having never won a gold. Never won a World Cup race before in downhill. And then in the men's Super G, James Crawford from Canada took gold as well without ever winning a World Cup race. So a couple of surprises in there for the gold medals on those speed events. And now we're looking forward to the parallel slalom this week, the giant slalom and the slalom races where British skiers will feature more in those disciplines. Although it's worth mentioning that 22-year-old Callum Langmuir managed a respectable 38th in the men's Super G. It was his debut. And Owen Vinter placed 41st as well. And Roy Alexander Studel, 39th in the men's downhill. So we did have British ski racers in the speed disciplines. Of course, Switzerland's Marco Odermatt, fast becoming a legend, took gold in the downhill. So that is my news roundup for this week.
I like it. Some nice news there. I like it. There's plenty going on.
Yeah, loads going on.
Very exciting. So what is next? On to our gear roundup for the week. We've got our eye on gear, as we always have.
You got some stuff, Dom, to talk about? Yeah.
I've got a few bits of gear that I've got my eye on this week. First up is a pair of ski gloves. These are made by Level. They're the Level Wexford leather glove, goat leather, undoubtedly the toughest and best performing material for an outer glove. That coupled with the Primaloft insulation. And then they've got a Membratherm waterproof membrane, creates a really, really nice glove. I got hold of these. They're super soft, super comfy. I actually think Level are pretty underrated, to be honest with you. They're 150 quid. Really like these gloves. Well worth a look. They're in our gear guide this month in the snow, so well worth a look there. The other thing,
proper gloves Level as well, aren't they? Proper gloves.
I think they are, and I think I do think they're a bit underrated. I don't know whether they're definitely on people's radar. So yeah, really nice.
Okay.
The other thing, of course, Rob, had to be a backpack. The Scott, we know we love our backpacks.
Oh, we do.
The Scott Patrol E230 backpack. So this is using supercapacitor technology to inflate its airbag. So it's full backcountry off-piste airbag. It's the E2. It's the smallest and lightest system on the market, meaning you can be completely safe in your backcountry skiing. I say completely safe, but as safe as you possibly can be, without carrying a big heavy pack, imposing on the fun. No cartridges, no lithium-ion batteries. Means that there's also no restrictions on traveling or for shipping it. And the Scott Patrol E2 backpack, which is £984, superb piece of kit. I'm sure you're probably going to get your hands on one of those, aren't you, Rob?
Sounds good to me. I'd like to try one out. I mean, obviously testing airbag systems aren't always the easiest to do, but it's for obvious reasons. But yeah, sounds
cracking looking bag kit, really nice. So if you want to spend £1,000 on a backpack, that's where we're at.
Okay.
And the other thing is actually a Scott product as well, which is the Scott React goggles. These have a really nice magnetic lens change system, which have become the standard for sort of higher end ski goggles in the past few years. So you get a very quick lens change and gets rid of the need for messing about with goggles and sunglasses and all that sort of stuff. The React system is by far the best one we've seen. They're smooth, they're sturdy, they're easy to use, even with gloves on. Really rate these goggles, really nice. 229 quid a pair. I had a look at these when I was at Ski Bartlett recently in Hillingdon. Really nice independent retailer that we know very well. And they just really took me, these goggles. I think they're a great shape. That whole frameless, big vision, wide vision, really, really nice goggles. I do love the Scott gear, got to be honest. And that is everything from me for this week.
Fantastic. That's a great roundup there. Picked out some brilliant things. I have a slightly different story that I spotted last week. The brand Artilect.
Oh yeah,
and it's sort of one of those newer brands that's starting to get some traction in the market, and they're featuring now the world's first user repairable zips. Now I know myself, like I get jackets, and the first thing that goes wrong with a jacket every single time basically is the zip. Absolutely. And you've got this very technical high price jacket, and then the zip breaks, and then you've got to either send it back, and even then it's it can be tricky. So Artilect, they're working in conjunction with the zip company YKK, and they're set out to address this issue, basically increasing the sustainability of their jackets by making it much easier for customers and stores to repair jackets quickly and easily. And the result is the YKK Revived Zipper, the first ever user repairable zip. And it's available now on Artilect's Formation 3-layer shell jacket and high AF down jacket as well. And so they're integrating this for spring 23 this year and winter 23-24. So you can check that out on Artilect.studio. That's their website, ARTILECT.studio. And it's a very, very interesting project. Yeah.
Yeah, they only just came onto my radar. I think it was probably about a year ago. I saw them at one of the trade shows, and interesting stuff.
Yeah, it's nice stuff. I've got a base layer of theirs, and it's very, very good, I must say.
Yeah,
and I've got a mid-layer jumper, which is like a hoodie, which is nice. So yeah, interesting project. The other thing I'm going to pick out this week, because it is February half-term week, is Bjorn of Sweden. Do you know the brand? They basically do kids ski clothing, and they do it very, very well.
Very good.
And yeah, the backflip ski jacket. It's a proper ski jacket aimed at young people, kids and young people. It's 15,000 mil waterproofness, 100% tape seams, very breathable. So waterproof, breathable, technical ski jacket for kids. It's got loads of other brilliant little features on it, lots of pockets, all that kind of stuff. Adjustable waist, adjustable closing, not adjustable clothing, adjustable closing. And you can expand things inside, like the sleeve endings, you can expand them to allow for that growth. So
Brilliant.
you know, it's yeah, and the jacket comes out at around £180, which is obviously high end for a kid's jacket, but
it is.
It's going to last a long time.
Yeah, and they've really thought about that stuff. Every time I look at it, I just think these guys, you know, they really have thought about kids' clothing, and they've thought about the growth rate. And it might seem expensive, but if it lasts 3 times longer, it's probably cheaper in the long run.
Absolutely. So yeah, check that out on isbjornofsweden.com.
Very good.
And yeah, there we are.
So very good. Nice little gear roundup. And without further ado, we are on to our top trumps of resorts for this week, which is resorts beginning with F. And you are Fieberbrunn, and I am Flaine. So do you want to kick off by telling us a little bit about Fieberbrunn?
Fieberbrunn, sort of not one of those resorts that is always on the map, is it? But it's located in the Austrian Tirol. It links directly with the ski circus area that includes Salzburg and Hinterglemm, and that's in the Salzburg region. Massive ski area, and it's got one of the most great ski area, one of the most modern lift systems in the world as well. And whilst Salzburg and Hinterglemm is known for its on-piste skiing and après ski scene, Fieberbrunn on the other side, bit more quiet, a bit quieter, bit more sedate, but it has some fantastic free ride terrain, some of the best in Austria. Accessible free ride terrain, and it's actually one of the events. It's a venue for one of the World Free Ride Tour events held every year. It's going to be in March this year. The ski runs there mostly suited towards intermediate skiers and snowboarders, and with the connected area, there's loads to explore. There's some really nice blue runs from the resort too, and the village is very pretty. It's actually very good for families as well as free ride fanatics. And although it's not the most well-known of resorts, the likes of, you know, Crystal and Ski Line, they offer holidays there, so you can easily book a holiday to Fieberbrunn. If you're looking for a large skiing area, good value for money, and want some free ride terrain, throw it in, that's marked out on the map, it's a great spot. And the piste skiing around Salzburg, it's genuinely hard to beat, I would say.
Sounds great. So on to Flaine.
Flaine, come on.
Yeah, Flaine is in the Grand Massif, as you probably know, but hopefully our listeners know too. The Grand Massif ski area, so we're talking the Haute-Savoie region, facing Mont Blanc, about an hour and 20 from Geneva, just northwest of Chamonix for reference. So the Grand Massif is made up of Flaine, Samois, or Samoens, however you want to say. I say Samois. Les Carols and Morillon and Six Fers à Cheval. So a few resorts that make up the Grand Massif. A lot of natural snow cover here, allows for a nice long winter season, ensuring good quality snow. It has some of the best snow conditions of the northern Alps and in France. More than 100 snow cannons providing additional snow cover when needed in the ski area. So a great skiable area. It's absolutely great for beginners and really set up with a mix of super easy beginner slopes and nice sort of confidence building rolling blues. So it's not necessarily your off-piste paradise, but there is some great intro to off-piste areas if you want that, and some nice faster rolling reds for people as they progress. Loads of accommodation choices here, from self-catered to privately owned apartments and chalets, tourism residents provided by the tourist office, hotels, all-inclusive club hotel too. There's loads of accommodation to suit all kinds of budgets there. It's arguably one of the best resorts for families, with easy to get to ski school, plenty of off-ski activities like karting and indoor climbing, skating, bowling, as well as a nursery for young kids and all kinds of daycare for the younger kids. There's absolutely well geared up for the younger families. It's a big ski area, so if you're going with your family and mum and dad want to do some big motorway miles, they can crack on and cover some big areas. But equally great if the kids, as they get a little bit better and they want to cover some bigger areas, then obviously it's all there for sort of more progressive blues and reds, all within easy access of Geneva Airport. What more could you want, Rob? I am going to own this competition today.
Well, you know, I like Flaine. It's a great ski area. The Grand Massif is a good area. You know, the resort itself, let's face it, to be honest, divides opinion a little bit in terms of its architecture. You know, it's one of those places that you love or hate, right?
It's not a chocolate box, is it?
No, but I actually find the architecture very interesting.
What about the stats? Yeah,
The
let's look at the stats.
Right, Dom, resort level. Go on, give it to me. What's Flaine?
Flaine sits at 1,600 meters.
Wow, that's high, isn't it?
Yeah.
Fieberbrunn. I'm just going to point out geographically, Austria is further east, right? So altitude is different. But in Fieberbrunn, the resort height is 790 meters.
Yeah. Okay.
But in Austria, that is different to saying it was 790 meters in France, right?
Yeah.
Because of the different weather systems and patterns that they have. I'm just going to say, I'm just pointing that out. Right, what's your highest point in the Grand Massif area?
2,500 meters.
Okay, so pretty high. So the highest point in the Fieberbrunn ski circus area, including Salzburg, is 2,096 meters.
That's still pretty respectable.
It's a great vertical, isn't it? From 2,096 down to 790, 1,200 meter vertical, very respectable.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. What about kilometers of piste? What have you got there?
So it's big area. The ski circus is 270 kilometers.
It's a chunk, isn't it? I'm almost there. 265 is the official stat that I found.
That's interesting.
Even Stevens there. Quite
a similar size area, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Number of lifts in that area, 70.
And I'm at 62. It's a lot of, just thinking about 270k and 60 odd lifts is a lot of lifts, isn't it? I mean, that's a big, they're both great areas, So we're fairly even there, apart from resort levels. And as you say, they are in different parts of slightly different parts of the world anyway. So what about our scores out of 10? What did you give your resort for beginners?
Yeah, I gave it 7 for beginners because there's some good nursery slopes and there's some really nice blue runs above the town as well. I couldn't go higher than that because I think the progression after that, it goes into reds quite quickly, and that's a 7. So what about you, Dom?
I gave mine a 9. I think this area is very well geared up for beginners.
Yeah, no, fair enough. Families, what did you go for there?
I also gave it a 9 again. How about you?
Yeah, I gave 8 to Fieberbrunn for families because it is a well-known family resort with lots of family facilities, nice village. So yeah, it's got an 8 from me for families. So
what about our free ride off-piste expert skiing?
Yeah, I got to give Fieberbrunn a high score for that because it is a free ride resort and there is some great free ride terrain there that's marked out on the map as well. So it's a 9 from me.
I gave Flaine and including the Grand Massif, I gave it a 6. Do you think that's harsh?
It's a little bit harsh, actually. I'd probably bump it up a score, to be fair, myself, if I was going to score that. I think there is some great off-piste skiing in Flaine.
Yeah.
When the conditions are good.
I did look back and think it was harsh.
It's not massively steep as an area, I would say, but there's some good off-piste.
Maybe we'll say a 6.5.
And fair enough.
Accommodation choice? Well,
I've given it a 7. What about you?
Yeah. And I gave mine an 8.
Yeah.
And for food and drink, I went an 8 because again, there's plenty there for food and drink. How about yourself?
Oh yeah, well I went 7, but I think it's a strong 7 out of 10 for me. Food and drink. Après, I've gone for 7 as well because you could sort of do a bit of après over in Hinterglen, for example. Stop at the Goat Store bar. Just that the problem is you probably get sucked in there and end up having to have a fairly expensive taxi ride back to Fieberbrunn because it's you're just not going to leave.
Yeah, I went for a 7 as well. It's not known for its après, but there is
fair enough. Rounding that up, then where are you, Dom?
I think I'm at, if I get an extra point on that free ride, then I'm at a 48.
Are you? Yeah, well, I'm at 45, which I guess if you compare the resort of Flaine to Fieberbrunn, I'll take it. I'll take 40. I'll take 45.
Yeah,
you've just pretty close. Me. You've just picked me to the post this week, Dom.
Sounds good to me. I always like to win.
Yeah.
Good.
Now, Dom, you recently went on an amazing trip to Canada, right?
Yeah. So earlier last month, I went to Banff in Alberta, right on the borders of British Columbia. It's a hop skip of a 9-hour flight from Heathrow into Calgary. I went with Air Canada on board one of these Dreamliners. It was a super flight, I have to say. I mean, it literally passed in no time. It was unbelievable. I had a good sleep on it. And when you arrive in Calgary now, you don't get any of those long queues of horrendous border force like you do in the UK. Instead, you get dozens of computer terminals. You quickly check yourself into the country, scan your passport, I was through passport control within about 10 or 15 minutes, which was incredible. And then straight into, we chose to hire a car, but there's loads of these Banff transfer buses that you can book beforehand, which are very, very convenient. And you're looking at about an hour and a half, just under an hour and a half to drive to Banff, and it's straight down the Trans-Canada Highway. So
hour and a half from Calgary Airport, is it?
Yeah, and it's fantastic because the whole way you're just looking at this mountain range that it starts off in the distance, and literally it's just looming at you as you drive. So
I have driven that road. I just couldn't remember the time to Banff. But that's great, isn't it? An hour and a half. Wow,
fantastic. So and then you literally arrive in downtown Banff. You arrive on Banff Avenue where all the main hotels are, although there's plenty of other accommodation down the side streets, and not all super high end. It's some nice 2 and 3 star hotels that are budget friendly, so super nice. One thing that strikes you straight away is the fact that Banff is a real operating town. You're talking 8,000 permanent inhabitants, loads going on. There's schools, there's a hospital, there's lots happening. You can really get the feel that there are some proper local people that live here. So it's not a purpose-built place at all. There's no doorstep skiing here. So if you want to be super critical, this isn't the place you go where you want to ski straight out of the town. However, fantastic bus service as you'd expect. Can ship you around to 3 of the major fabulous resorts that are right on the doorstep, which is Mount Norquay, Sunshine and Lake Louise. If you opt to take a car, most of the hotels have got free parking, so that's nice and easy, and there's plenty of parking around town as well. So driving up to the resorts, super simple. Free parking every time you get there. The only thing you need is your Banff National Park pass, something you stick on your windscreen, and it's just because you're in the national park. They're about 90 quid for a week for a family pass in your car. So if you do decide to drive, don't forget to get that. So taking each of the ski resorts, the nearest one is Mount Norquay. It's about 10 or 15 minutes outside of downtown Banff that you can drive to or get the bus. Pretty small resort. It's based at about 1,600 meters going up to about 2,500. Half a dozen lifts, about 60 runs, about 190 acres of terrain. Generally, they all call it steeper runs. They are steeper, but they're not our version of steep in Europe. They are sort of fast blues and reds, really. My best recommendation, getting up there for 8:30 in the morning. You can ski for the first couple of hours. Beautiful corduroy slopes. You'll never see another person. I was there mid-January, so it was quite a time, and I literally skied to 10:30 before I saw the first person. Obviously, there's busier times of the year when their school holidays are and all of that sort of thing, so I would recommend that sort of second week of January, really good time to go. Definitely a favoured resort for local race clubs, so it's not somewhere where you ski around all week and have lots of mountain restaurants or anything like that. There's a nice big base station restaurant and bar with great food and everything else, and if you just want to rag around for a couple of hours and you're just nice and near to Banff town, Norquay is the answer. So I liked it there. It was great fun, tree-lined runs. It was fairly hard packed when I was there, but they had groomed it beyond belief, and it really was an absolute blast. We had 2.5 hours, freezing cold weather, and it was a lot of fun, like I say. So the next nearest skiing to the town centre is Banff Sunshine. That's about 15, probably more like 20 minutes by car or by bus. Again, a bunch of free parking when you arrive. Lovely base area where you've got a nice big restaurant, and there's actually a hotel check-in, which I'll explain a little bit more, because basically you park at the base and you get a 20-minute gondola up to the mountain village. They call it the village. I wouldn't get your expectations up. There's not loads of shops or anything like that, but we are talking really nice hotel, which is the Sunshine Mountain Lodge, which I'd highly recommend staying in, plus a couple of other restaurants and bars if you fancy a little bit of après or some nice bars and stuff like that. It's pretty nice, but it is small. It's not a big village by any stretch. Beware, the last gondola down is about 6 o'clock, and that's about a 20-minute gondola ride back down to your car.
You can't ski back down to the car park.
You can ski down to your car park. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Which is great. So there is, and it's a nice, easy run. It's by a nice winding run down by water, all sorts of stuff. So yeah, you can ski straight down to your car. But I went and stayed in the mountain lodge, which, if I'm honest, to start with, I was thinking, do I want to be staying up there? You know, you do feel a little bit sort of confined by being up there because you're out of town, and I was used to staying down in town. But I'll tell you what, it was so worth it. That Banff Mountain Lodge, we're not talking super high end. They have got a fabulous restaurant there, but they've also got a regular restaurant and a really nice breakfast layout in the morning, and a little deli restaurant where if you want to pick up a sandwich and a coffee and just go, you can. but you are literally right on the slope. So if you want first tracks in the morning, straight out of your hotel, clip your skis on, get on that lift, and you're the first out. It is mega. Really nice outdoor spa and all that sort of stuff. But like I say, we're not talking a super high-end 5-star hotel. This is a really nice, cost-effective way of being right on the slope. Banff Sunshine sits right on the Great Divide between Alberta and British Columbia. So a really big, extensive rolling ski area, dotted with trees, mixed ability runs. It's great for those that like to skip through the trees. You're talking 3,500 acres of skiing, as well as the option to ski straight back down to your car, as I mentioned. So it really is a skier's paradise, to be honest with you, and you're never going to get bored even if you stay up there for a week. But if you want to be completely critical, if you are staying up at that village, I think you could get a bit of cabin fever if you're up there for the whole week, because there's no other shops running like that, and you're probably looking at 3 or 4 restaurants, and that's for your breakfast, lunch and evening dinner. So for me, I really enjoyed my few days up there, and in fact I got to the end of it, and you know what, I didn't actually want to leave. I really did fall in love with being up there. The views and the mountainscape, it's just a beautiful area, and there is just loads and loads and loads to do there. So yeah, I was super keen on Sunshine. And then the last resort that makes up what they call the SkiBig3 is Lake Louise. So that's about a 35-minute drive from Banff town centre. Again, you're just blasting straight down that highway. Similar sort of setup again. So you've got a big base station with 2 or 3 restaurants in it, the ski school, everything you'd expect to find in a great mountain resort, really. Just over 4,000 acres of skiing, 164 runs, some up to 8 kilometres long. And I have to say, Lake Louise is epic. So you've got spectacular views, fabulous skiing, some great off-piste too. Snow conditions while I was there, I found it good. The locals were moaning, saying, oh, the snow's crap and everything else. But in Europe, we'd be very happy with it, to be honest with you. And I'd highly recommend popping down to the Fairmont Lake Louise, which is about another 10-minute drive away from the resort. And the Fairmont sits right on this fabulous lake, which is obviously frozen at that time of the year, and it is mind-boggling when you get down there. And the hotel's beautiful, and it has become a bit of a tourist destination where you get a lot of people taking photos of themselves and all that. But it's one of those things that's got to be done now, really.
It's a huge valley, isn't it? It's a vast valley area there. Yeah. We see it often at the beginning of the winter if we watch ski racing, because they have the downhills there at the start of the season, and always look spectacular up at Lake Louise, looking down onto that valley with the ski racing going on.
It is. It is absolutely fantastic. Great thing I would recommend if you've made the journey over to Banff. We also drove a couple of hours out to Golden, where we did some snowmobiling. You can't do that in Banff because of the national park. And obviously, if you're out in Golden, then you buy Kicking Horse and you get to ski there as well. So that's well worth doing. And also, Banff is just outside another town called Canmore, which is quite an upmarket town where a lot of people live, quite high-end houses. Out there, you can do some superb husky dog sledding, or you could take in an ice hockey game where you get a lot of the sort of future wannabe NHL players, which is very, very cool to go and watch. Or hour and a half back to Calgary if you want to and go and watch one of the big games. Very, very good fun. So you probably know by now I'm pretty biased when it comes to talking about this place. I think it's epic. I just love everything about it. The wildlife, it's not unusual to look out your hotel window and see an elk walking down the middle of the high street. Obviously in the summertime you've got the grizzlies and the big cats out there as well. If you want to go with a family and you've got great shopping, you've got every restaurant you could think of. If you want to get a place on your bucket list, and it is well worth getting that flight over. I could talk a lot more about it, Rob. SkiBig3, I'm done.
Wow.
I might get a job with the tourist board.
Yeah, you could. You could. I mean, you sold it to me. I've never skied there. I've only driven past it to go into British Columbia without stopping. I need to stop next time, don't I? At least for a few days. Well, I'll put it on my list, the long list of places I still need to get. Thanks for that, Dom. That's brilliant. That was a brilliant review of that entire area. And I've learned, I've heard of Norquay, and I've heard of Lake Louise, obviously, and Sunshine, but I didn't really understand how that all worked in relation to Banff.
Yeah.
So that's good to know.
So that's it. We're at the end of another podcast. I don't know what episode we're on. We're on about, I don't know what it is, 15, 20, something like that. What have you got coming up?
Got some trips planned in March to Switzerland and France.
Cool.
And you never know what happens in between. What about you, Dom?
You never know. So I am rapidly repairing a broken arm, exercising as I speak. And
I can see that.
We are heading out to Colorado at the end of March to hit some of the nice big names of Colorado, which I will share with you a little bit closer to the time. Other than that, it is repair mode, physio mode, and make sure I'm ready to start skiing at the end of next month. So I've got myself, what have I got? 6 weeks to get better.
Keep working on it, Dom. You're going to be fine, right? You're going to be fine. That broken arm. What's a broken arm?
Exactly.
Come on. Yeah, you'll be all right. What have you got? Broken arm, broken shoulder, broken hand. Oh my
I have
god!
actually got all three. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So
good.
Until next time, then. So no skiing for us in the next week or so, but I will catch up with you in a week's time. And nice to talk.
Thanks, Dom. As always, it's been a pleasure.
And don't forget, listeners, check out the notes to see everything we've talked about in this episode with a few links to useful information. We will speak to you again in a week's time. Adios.
See you later. Bye.
See you later.
Mais non, talkie-walkie.
Pretty sure it's called a walkie-talkie, mate.